Let's shift our focus now abroad. The International Court of Justice Friday rejected South Africa's latest effort to accuse Israel of genocide in Gaza, but it will focus on Israel again starting tomorrow, this time broadening its focus from Gaza to the West Bank and East Jerusalem as well. This week, the UN's top legal body will hear no less than 52 states present arguments against what they call Israel's illegal occupation of the Palestinian territories, using the Hague Court as a forum to attack Israel. But keep in mind, the ICJ is also hearing cases against Hamas that charged the terror group with war crimes, especially committed on October 7th. Well, someone who's been following those cases, Dr. Kanta Ahmed. She's a senior fellow at the Independent Women's Forum, joining us from New York. She's been on the channel before. And Dr. Ahmed, thank you for joining us. First of all, let's talk about the ICJ. A lot of focus on the cases against Israel, but we should keep in focus also, there are some cases and appeals being brought against Hamas there.
So this is about the ICC, the International Criminal Court that prosecutes individuals. The ICJ prosecutes nations and states. So very importantly, very early after October 7th, I think on November 3rd, French lawyer, human rights lawyer François Zimmeret brought a motion to the attention of the chief prosecutor of the ICC that many of the crimes committed on October 7th amounted to genocide and probably would hold water under legal scrutiny, and also appealed and filed a motion to request an international arrest warrant for Hamas leaders. He represents 9 Israeli families of 11 victims, including Israeli technology entrepreneur Eyal Waldman. So François Zimmeret's case is so worthy, which he's delivering pro bono. And this week on Wednesday, we saw 100 representatives of families of hostages in Gaza also come and give testimony to the ICC. This is a very important case that needs to be followed and supported in every way.
Right. Now, a lot of those atrocities, some of those real shocking atrocities were the sex crimes and abuse that were done to Israelis and Israeli women on October 7th by Hamas terrorists. I know that you even got a firsthand look at some of the bodies of those victims during a visit here to Israel that you made. And you are, as I mentioned, the doctor. You visited the Abu Kabir Pathology Center and the IDF Shura camp, which is being used for identification of those bodies. I want to ask you about that. First, let's listen to what the German Foreign Secretary, Annalena Baerbock, had to say just yesterday at the Munich Security Conference.
I saw the video where women have been not only raped, but murdered afterwards. And in that moment, for me, it was clear, again, that we can also not only relate to the past, saying, okay, we know how negotiations about with terrorists are working, because if you saw that video and if you were ready to see these women suffering there, you understand that this is not only a military logic, because those people who are doing this, raping a woman and killing her afterwards, they don't want to exchange soldiers or political prisoners. They enjoy slaughtering women.
And Dr. Ahmed, I want to ask you about your own experiences here, but also as the role of especially women's groups, since you had one, in whether those that have and those that have not taken up this issue of the atrocities that were committed, especially sexual atrocities on October 7th.
So I want to say that I saw forensic evidence affecting all human beings. I did not specifically see forensic evidence in the morgue, but I saw a devastating eyewitness testimony of crimes against women and girls that were sexual crimes, which are war crimes and crimes against humanity. I think there's something extremely important to say. Hamas is a lethal, eliminationist, genocidal Islamist movement. It cares nothing other than the elimination of the existence of the Jewish people, man, woman, child, infant, and the unborn. And while it's very important to expose the sexual crimes they committed and continue to commit, we fear that some of the hostages may have been impregnated by their Hamas captors. We're really concerned about that. We must not forget their atrocities far exceed only crimes against women and girls, or only sexual crimes, which also involve boys. This focus on sexual crimes, which is important, must not overshadow their true genocidal intent, which they demonstrate again and again and again. They say we will bring 1 million October 7th upon Israel. They say we have 1 million, we're a nation of 1 million martyrs ready to sacrifice our lives. They are so genocidal, they're willing to sacrifice the Israeli people and the Palestinian people, as you see them doing. You see their leaders strolling along subterranean tunnels, as we saw the footage of Yahya Sinwar, with stacks of cash and cologne, while they're living with flushable plumbing and showers, as their own people are caught in unbearable conflict above ground. That is the nature of Hamas. They are so beyond the limits of humanity. And what's really discouraged me has been the response of the Muslim world, particularly when we see monarchs like the King of Jordan and the Queen of Jordan, very important treaty partners with Israel, who went all out to defeat ISIS and condemn ISIS, have been unable to do so concerning Hamas explicitly, and have also kept all these people trapped in that theater of war, along with Egypt, along with the consent of the Muslim world, so that these death counts continue to mount. It's really intolerable that the only a finger is pointed at Israel when Israel is absolutely captive to these genocidaires who've built a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure designed for terrorism. Those tunnels that where they live and from where they launch their attacks and invasions, from where their leaders shelter, from where the terrorists keep the hostages or the bodies of hostages, those themselves are weapons of war. Those themselves are instruments of crime against humanity. And there's been almost silence on this entire act of Hamas, not only that one day, but in the months since, which are imperiling millions.